This episode of Demolition TV is sponsored by Square Mile Broking.
Welcome to episode 4 of Demolition TV. It's estimated that more than £1 million worth of equipment is stolen from UK construction and demolition sites each week. To find out more about this pernicious problem, we visited the headquarters of Datatag, one of the companies at the forefront of the fight against plant theft.
It's been widely reported over the last few years that it can be anything up to almost £1 million a week. It's a huge number. If we were take into account all of the costs involved with regards to insurance claims, rehiring of equipment and losses, based on the research that we took some time ago, it could be as much as 750 million a year, almost up to over £1 billion a year problem. There are people out there who can earn as much in a day, an hour, than most people will try and earn within a year. And it's a worrying concern. CITS, Combined Industry Theft Solutions, it's been around for many years as a group of collective people and enthusiasts, specialists within the industry. Anything from police, dedicated police, to insurance, finance companies, leading manufacturers, security companies. Everyone gives their time up in terms of to try and help combat this problem of theft, and it's always been an issue. We have some independent police statistics to show that the Caesar scheme, along with other technologies, has helped to create a fantastic deterrent. As I said earlier, the people who do this that's their business. That's organised, and from their point of view, they're being far more careful as to what they're choosing. They tend to try and avoid stealing stuff that can be identified easily. They have some very clever technologies to get around lots of clever gadgets and widgets that are being put on, and every time you make some significant steps forward, you find out that actually these criminals have been able to maybe get around it another way. So it's just innovation. It's constant, really. One of our biggest markets is motorcycles. We've tagged about 1 million motorcycles. And as our involvement in sport, we got close to a couple of major manufacturers of hand tools. So that brought us quite closely together, because we became aware that the users of these hand tools, as I'm sure everyone is aware, were constantly being targeted. So the sheds, buildings, vans were being broken into. We've heard of no end of stories of people being put out of business because £2,000 worth of hand tools have gone, they weren't insured and they can't afford to replace them. And so as a result of that, and being approached by some users of this equipment, they said, well, why can't we adapt the technology you've got for smaller tools? So we started doing a pilot scheme with regards to some dealers who were being targeted and ram-raided, as well as working with these users. And over a period of 6 months, we tagged thousands of tools, helped protect these dealerships, and had a very good success in terms of dealers not being targeted anymore, customers feeling they had some peace of mind and some added value, and felt confident to go back and buy the same brand of equipment. Moving forward, because of the success of the official Caesar scheme, we've now adapted that as part of the official Caesar scheme. I can't say which leading manufacturers are coming on board now, but we do have a commitment from some leading manufacturers to fit micro Caesar as standard. What we're hoping to do is to turn everyone with a smartphone into a portal. The smart app that we will develop for this initiative will not only allow someone to check if something's stolen or to report something stolen, but it's going to allow a customer to download health and safety information about that machine. It's going to allow them to maybe watch a small viral video on how to operate it safely, where it's going to give them information as to where the nearest dealer is. It's going to allow them to hire that piece of equipment for another few days, another week, or to order more equipment working with those hire companies. We hope it's going to become the de facto standard for that industry. Tool theft, attachment theft is a major issue. It will be within demolition a huge issue. But what we've seen for this particular initiative, that whilst we are focusing on security, that the functionality of the micro-CZ is also to do with asset management. And it's almost, I see it as almost like crowd policing in a way, rather than crowdfunding, that we're all going to be part of looking after our kit. We work closely with attachment manufacturers who can see there's a problem, and consumers have asked for it. That's why we developed the attachment and compact Caesar system for those. And as I mentioned earlier, people like Indeco, JCB and Steelrist are fitting it to standard, but not just here. Steelrist, for instance, are doing in Norway and Sweden, and that's growing for us. So we are having those discussions with attachment manufacturers, but it's been a difficult time. There will probably be crime going on right now that we're unaware of. We know there is. People are getting away with it, and there's a lot of clever people in our industry, clever technologies, working very hard to combat that, putting in procedures, practices and technology, and it's making it much, much harder for those guys and girls to be able to earn their way of life, I suppose, or to fund whatever they're trying to do. At the time that we can stop theft completely, those of us who are involved in the security industry will be out of business. I can't see that happening anytime soon.
This episode of Demolition TV is sponsored by Square Mile Broking. Square Mile Broking are an award-winning chartered broker who truly specialise in the demolition industry. We have exclusive facilities via Lloyd's of London with tailor industry-specific covers that are only available via Square Mile Broking. We can also assist with your plant security via our Square Mile Broking DNA Plus system that uniquely forensically codes your plant and attachments. Call us on 0330 024 2980 to see how we can help your business.
With the focus of the fight against plant theft switching from one of prevention to one of recovery, we visited two companies at the forefront of the recovery process. Secondly, we'll be going to AMI, but we'll start with a visit to CanTrack.
CanTrack is the new name for what was Custodia Systems for about 12 years. We ran with that name, and we rebranded last year, really in line with a couple of exciting new products we've got, which are now known as the CanTrack Asset and the CanTrack GPS. CanTrack GPS is the first to market plug and play tracking system. So it's a full live tracking system, typically for vans, cars, that sort of thing. So most of our customers in construction also run a fleet of vans. And this allows them to plug them in without taking the vans and driver off the road for installation, and monitor things like hours worked, jobs they've completed, and a key one these days is actually the driver behaviour reports from a health and safety point of view in terms of representing the company and safety on their own behalf. The CanTrack Asset is the product that really is a follow-on product for the Apello and the Apello Geo, which is probably well known to at least a number of your viewers. We've been operating for over 10 years in that market. It's dedicated towards theft and theft recovery. We still remain the only company in the UK that's got a dedicated team of investigators. They're all ex-police officers who have gone find stolen items, physically on the ground, and that makes a real difference, having a presence on the ground as opposed to the other type of tracking we do, which is really just viewing on a computer screen. And the CanTrack Asset is a brand new product that's more than just an evolution of what we've done before. It brings a whole new host of features. Demolition in particular is really quite a challenging environment for a tracker to work in. So if you think of most of your tracking devices, they tend to be sort of black plastic devices. They may have some ability to withstand weather and elements and shock and vibration, but demolition is probably the most extreme example of plant and construction, and therefore it's like trying to make a laptop work whilst continuously strapped to a bit of piling or demolition equipment or something where heavy vibration, sustained vibration, and then impact shocks as well. So it's technically very challenging to get a unit to work in that environment. So this product here is the CanTrack Asset. So this is it's actually designed for all types of heavy industry. So this is supply chain logistics, plant and construction is obviously a key one. And the reason that they made it relevant for these markets is the construction. So this is a nylon polymer case. That means it's about 60% glass. So similar to fiberglass, it has a little bit of flex in it, but it's exceptionally tough. Now that is a hollow shell. Inside the shell we have a circuit board that sits on top of a battery pack. and then they take liquid epoxy resin and they pour it in, and it fills every last bit of space within that shell and sets hard to create a, excuse me, I hope this isn't going to hurt your mic, but exceptionally tough product. I mean, it's we've done run over tests with rollers, 1-ton rollers, vibrating. We've had impact tests, vibration tests. We just have not found a way as yet to break this equipment, short of taking a diamond tip saw to it. So for all extents and purposes, it's indestructible. In the demolition industry, obviously, this is really fit for purpose. We've had it through just about every accreditation that you can imagine, and there really is no other product that could actually do that. As part of the epoxy resin, it makes it completely waterproof. It's actually IP69K, which is the highest rating. It means it could be directly pressure washed. It could live underwater for a year and come out completely unscathed. It would make no difference. So in terms of proving its environmental toughness, that kind of comes like it out the box. So we've got the UK exclusive distribution for a company called Trusted. They're a Danish company. We actually went out there to look at them on behalf of some investors to appraise their technology from an investing viewpoint, and ended up being absolutely blown away by what these guys had achieved. If you asked me to describe my perfect tracking system after doing this for 12 years, I was ticking the boxes, looking at this and got so excited. I said, don't you worry about investing in them. I'm taking this. Plant has always been difficult because you're effectively talking about a sort of a big metal item of some sort, and one thing that signals don't pass through very easily is metal. So tracking anything in plant has been difficult. Tracking an attachment is particularly challenging, and the most obvious reason for that is a lack of power. So normal tracking devices require an awful lot of power over a continuous basis to work, whereas our speciality is with battery-powered products. The bigger version of the CanTrack Asset will actually last up to 15 years, and even the standard one that you just saw will last up to 7 years, providing GPS pinpoint accuracy every day, so you can see exactly where your attachments are and what they're doing. We also have some technology that comes from our days in theft that's built into the product. One of the key things is sort of what I'd call an anti-jam technology. So any well-prepared professional thief will come to the market, they'll come to the site using something along these lines. This is a GPS jammer. It's legal for me to own it, but I can't switch it on. If I do switch it on, you'll find that your sat-nav would go, a GPS tracker, including ours, would lose its signal. So really that GPS is there for your day-to-day, where is everything when things are going well. What you lose in the time of theft is that GPS can be instantly disabled by switching on one of these jammers, which is very common within theft. We've discovered many of them in the tens of millions of pounds worth of equipment that we've recovered. And what the unit does is it detects that, and it instantly rolls over to the technology that we've always used with the Apello and the Apello Geo, which is a mobile phone cell site triangulation. So in the event of a theft, or any other time in fact, you're always going to get a location. And that's the key thing, is you'll always get something. That GSM triangulation is bigger than a GPS circle, but it's big enough for our investigators, small enough for our investigators to go along and actually find out where the plant asset is, or the attachment is. And the reason they can do that is another piece of technology in the system called a homing beacon, which, if you think of the wildlife programs with a guy with maybe something that looks like a TV aerial and you're getting a blip through every second, we have something very similar. In fact, we use similar sort of technology to those guys. This is an example of the radio frequency finding that we use. And far from being a crude technology, if I'm pointing directly at the asset, I'll get a very strong signal. If I'm just a few degrees either side, it greatly drops off. So this is what allows us to get it in shipping containers, in metal industrial units, anywhere they might have taken the attachment, we'll still be able to get a location on it. The product will work absolutely anywhere in the world. It's the mobile phone part of it is called quad band, and there is something quite important that makes our device a little bit unique as well. We are the first tracking product in the UK to take advantage of a technology called eSIM. eSIM is it means there's no physical SIM card on the product, so you'd normally see a place where a SIM card would go. eSIM is what you will see if you buy a phone or a tablet in the next few years. You're going to get this technology on there, and it means there's no more physical SIM card. That's very important for demolition, because on a normal tracking device, that SIM card would vibrate out, slight loss of contact, and your unit is gone. But even more importantly, we have something called a network agnostic eSIM card. And that means it will work on any network anywhere in the world. And that's really important for people in demolition and in plant in general, because they're working in areas where the mobile phone network may not be very advanced, or you may have like a strong Vodafone signal but no O2. And ours won't care what it connects to. It will always get that location to you. And when that comes to theft, that's especially important. If you've got a vehicle that's tracking every 30 seconds and it misses one, yeah, it's okay. If you've got something that you need it to respond in theft, it's really important. And our investigators will travel anywhere. So we do the UK as part of our standard day-to-day operations. Our team covers the UK anywhere within no more than 4 hours. We have a very high success rate. In some industries it's above 90%, but the lowest we've got anywhere is in sort of around 60-65%, and that's in very, very high risk, very small items that are hard to find locations for tracking devices. So we're very proficient at what we do. We've been doing it for a long time, and there's nowhere we won't go. We were recently out in Italy doing a job in the port of Trieste, where we got back 5 machines worth about £250,000 as part of a very advanced fraudulent hire. We've done Poland jobs, etc. But have to say, generally, people don't get out of the country. We will get them before that point, but we also have people in the ports in case they do. And we've even got someone that's in the port of Calais and Rotterdam. So if they do make it across the 2 most common points, we've got someone waiting at the other end. But generally speaking, they don't get that far anyway. A demolition contractor should fit CanTrack really because they've got an extremely expensive attachment that's very easy to steal. It's very easy to sell. So it's really as good as having cash in the bank when you have that attachment on your lorry, except it's a lot harder for the police and innocent parties to identify that this is a stolen item and the value of it. So a demolition contractor should protect themselves in terms of not only the value of it, but being able to know where their attachments are and how they're being used and how much they're being used with the runtime hours.
AMI is one of the market leaders in protecting plant machinery and also monitoring fleet management and protecting plant UK-wide. We do have quite a substantial vehicle fleet, however, plant is our biggest market. Some of our big plant hire companies have thousands of assets alone, and we protect a large range of equipment from small dumper trucks all the way up to compact rollers and large excavators. We do have a couple of different systems. We tend to attack the market from 2 sides. We have purely battery operated systems with our industry leading battery life up to 20 years. And we also have hardwired systems, which is doing more telemetry and CAN bus data. We offer more of a tailor-made solution. So rather than trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, we'll actually consult with the company prior to offering any solutions. Really look at the person's requirements and then try and come up with a solution around that, maybe something bespoke. Demolition is very unique in its own sector because a lot of the equipment is put under huge amounts of stress and strain, especially in regards to peckers and things. So we're looking at more how to protect the solutions, using special compounds to hide them even more, and also to soak up a lot of the vibration and abuse these machines get on a daily basis. With so many varieties of machines up and down the country from large national accounts, there is too much equipment out there to keep an eye on each one individually, especially with the one key fits all scenario. Attachments are quite easily stolen, so for us it's more recovery than prevention. I would split it down into 2 categories. I think the biggest category is definitely organised crime. However, I do think there is the odd opportunist thief knocking out there. In regards to our thefts, they have seen a significant increase over the last 4 years, mainly once a job is closed for the night, so after 6 p.m, normally up until around 5 a.m, 6 a.m. in the morning, that is when the machines are being stolen. We do have very few reported instances where things are stolen during the day. However, the large majority of our recoveries are done at night. If you can take a battery away with you at night, not always ideal, or if you can remove a fuse for a critical circuit on that machine, or if you can physically tie it up with chains or locks, that will always maybe make that item of equipment harder to steal. And if a thief can then think this might be too hard to steal or find an easier alternative, that will then help. If it is a battery powered solution, what we will do is consult with the customer, log into our Nexus platform and see the last GPS position that asset gave. We will then be able to say this is where it was at this specific time and date. What we can then do is send a command to the device to say wake up depending on where it is in its wake-sleep cycle. And then once the unit takes that on, we will liaise with the police and our in-house finder network to then go and successfully recover that piece of equipment. If it's a hardwired system, chances are it will have ignition sense and it'll be reported in a lot more frequent, so we can then physically turn that on as well and track it to wherever its current location is with the help of the police. We have two sides to the actual installation process. We have customers that take devices and then fit them themselves, or we actually offer a service where we physically go to site and we will install the tracking device. Because that is what we do on a daily basis, our engineers have a lot of experience in how to strip specific machines down and make sure the installations are covert. We also use specialist compounds to actually embed the tracking device as part of the machine, which is why we have a 100% recovery rate on covertly installed installations. Normally, if the customer does an installation, they have good engineers and engineers of less experience. It's normally these types of installations where we get a lower success rate than we do if we've actually installed them ourselves. We've just completed our tracking device for Peckers, which has always been a bit of a unique challenge for AMI, just because of the actual nature of a Pecker, with the abuse it takes on a daily basis and with it being a solid piece of metal. It's always been a challenge to put a tracking device on to track a Pecker, which is why we've come up with some special compounds and installation places to actually track a Pecker and get it back in the event it is stolen. We're using a combination of GPS and RF tracking. So if it's out in a place where it can get GPS, we can physically track it using GPS. Or if it goes in the back of a van or into a warehouse, we can use the technologies of cell site triangulation and also our onboard RF beacon to get the device back that way. We've done quite a few extensive tests now, which has given us the green light to start marketing this product and hopefully get it out there into the demolition community.
According to the team at CanTrack, their tracking device is demolition proof. Yeah, we'll be the judge of that. Okay, may not be entirely demolition proof, but it's bloody resilient. We really hope you've enjoyed this episode of Demolition TV and that you'll check back again soon for another episode. In the meantime, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below so you can check out all of our past editions.
This episode of Demolition TV is sponsored by Square Mile Broking.